a few pops and things like that, but I'm not like specific to one genre of fandom or nerddom or anything like that. I just like anything and everything, I guess. Yeah.
Did you say airplane art?
Yeah, like random. I was a huge aviation buff as a kid, so I liked airplanes and things like that. So anytime I find like metal sculptures that are like made to look like airplanes based out of like random parts, I'll maybe pick that up. But there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's not like I have yet to really hone in on my collecting.
I do have a rubber band collection, but more by accident.
Rubber band collection.
How do you explain that?
Yes. Do go on, please.
Please continue.
When I do groceries and things, I just take all the rubber bands, and I always think I'm going to need them for something, and I've developed this very large ball of rubber bands. But yeah,
That kind of sounds like hoarding.
That's not collecting. That's like you saying I collect plastic like grocery bags. Because every time I go grocery shopping, I have plastic grocery bags, and I have a drawer full of plastic grocery. You know, actually, I am a collector. I collect plastic grocery bags. Oh, and there's little twist ties that come on like a bag of bread.
You throw them.
I collect those a lot. I'm a big collector. I collect junk mail, apparently. Door tags, people that want to advertise window cleaning. They leave that on your front door. I collect those.
I think that's called hoarding.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. Or just laziness for throwing things away. But how big is? Do you have a rubber band ball? Are you trying to do that?
No, I'm not trying to do anything. It's just kind of a growing stack of rubber bands, all different sizes, which I admire.
What comes like a rubber band? Like the only thing I can think of like food wise is maybe like a lobster claw or something.
A lobster claw.
Yeah,
Funny enough, I wouldn't collect those rubber bands because they'd be all sort of fishy. But,
They're so strong. You know?
Yeah. No, we do not need to talk about a rubber band collection.
Isn't this what you guys are here for? So you have two voice actors on stage and they're talking about plastic grocery bags and rubber bands.
Honestly, we could talk about it for hours, but I do want to ask, since you guys do voice characters from video games, I'm curious, do you have a favorite video game of all time that you've played yourselves?
Yes. Next question. Do you?
Favorite video game of all time? It's probably like Super Mario. Just, the basic, oldest, most nostalgic memories I have.
Classic.
It's really nice.
Classic. I like it.
I already answered the question.
He just said yes.
I said I have no. Honestly, so I haven't been gaming much in recent years, but one of the games that I really thoroughly enjoyed playing the most was Portal. I just loved Portal as a game, and I wish they would come back with more. The other one was Crimson Skies on the original Xbox. Was one of the best flying games out there, and just so much fun. But it's not even stuff that I've been in, and I've been in so many games.
Actually, you have.
I know.
Like, no,
you would just think
but
it was
yes.
one of the thousands of games. But no, I mean, just as a gamer, like I loved Portal. I think I liked it's because the pace kind of works for me. I always make the joke that at 47, I feel like the old guy from Shawshank Redemption who gets out of jail and doesn't know what to do anymore, and it's just like I'm over it. And he's like, the world went and got itself in a big dang hurry, and I'm like, every time I fire up like Apex Legends or something like that, I'm always like, I can't keep up with this anymore. So I like a nice slow puzzle game, like Portal.
Like that.
Or The Cake is a Lie.
I like that. I do have a personal question for you, Roger. I did read that you voiced over 170 characters in regular shows. Is that true?
Supposedly. I think what happens is like you go in for these episodes. I did 7 seasons out of the 8 seasons with regular show, and inevitably you go in and you're going to voice like maybe one prominent character and then what they call incidental characters, which are like smaller characters like, man number 4 or guy in the biker bar scene, that kind of thing. And inevitably what happens is they just, I asked JG, like, what does this guy sound like? And he goes, I don't know, just kind of normal. And you're like, okay. So like this? And he goes, yeah. So yes, I've perhaps done over 170 characters in regular show alone, but I would argue that probably about 164 of them sound the same. So it's because it's going to be like taco vendor number 4, delivery food truck guy, random guy dying in the background, airline pilot. They're all going to be like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Who are you? Taco vendor number 4. Who are you? The airplane pilot. It's all that kind of a thing. So it sounds a lot better than it actually is.
Right. So the second part to my question is that I know that you're a comic, So in that show specifically, how much of that was improvised? Because like I know that with voice acting, sometimes there is some improvisation that goes on. So I'm just very curious, how often did it happen in that show?
I mean, on that show in particular, it was a lot of like playfulness here and there. But I mean, arguably, what do you think? Like, as far as like, it's kind of funny because with certain games, there's a lot of improv. With animation, sometimes it all depends. I would imagine you just made up all of Princess Zelda's lines, right?
Not even gonna try to
Pure
pretend.
improv.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very little improv. That aside from just breathing life into character lines, which you were always giving something innovative or creative from yourself in it. But yeah, no, not very much improv in that.
You didn't create Hylian as its own, as a Hylian?
Hylian.
Hylian, sorry.
Some people call it Hylian.
I should know that. Hylian? Hylian?
Hylianic.
Hylian. No, there was a lot of playfulness. Hey, you're behind. There's a lot of playfulness with she's right behind you. There's a lot of playfulness with certain shows, and arguably with the regular show, there were certain things that they would let me play. Like there was I do remember I was proud of this. It's kind of a hacky line from like stand-up, but it was Muscle Man comes over to Thomas, and Thomas is sitting down on the front porch of their little like place where they all lived, and Muscle Man comes over, children, and he rips a big old fart right next to Thomas as he's sitting there. But he does it like right next to Thomas's face, and I just added I went, oh, that's so sick, my mouth was open, and they were like, that's funny, we're gonna keep that in. And I was like, all right, well, it's not brilliant, but little things like that, we play around with a lot of that stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Grown man.
That's good. I've got a question for you, Patricia. So you were the first sort of like the voice of Zelda. Was there a lot of pressure behind that as far as, because Zelda's got a very specific and large fandom. Were you afraid, or was there pressure about are they gonna, I know it's always like, are they gonna hate it or are they gonna love it, but I feel like being the very first for such a long franchise, was there extra pressure with that?
I did feel a bit of pressure, yeah. But it's funny because when I was auditioning for it, I didn't know what it was. So I went in just wanting to make a really good impression. And by the time I did figure out what the voice was going to be, a lot of the decisions had been made creatively about what direction they were going to go. Yeah, with that said, I mean, yeah, I certainly, after finding it out, I was like, oh my God, it was like insane for a little while. And I did some research and tried to just, work with the script on hand. You can't delve too much into the past, or you can't live there with your choices. Your choices have to be coming out of present script and present lore that they give you. They have to be active. So it's always a combination of like doing a bit of research and then going in and giving what you expect to get in the room, and using your director and the whole creative team that's signing off on everything that you're doing. You have to kind of trust that too. So, but yes, I totally felt pressure. It was very exciting. It's funny, pressure, exciting, kind of a bit of both, right?
Oh yes. No pressure.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I was always, when I heard Zelda's voice for the first time, I was like, oh, okay, that was pretty good. All right, that was, I'm on board. So I thought you did a great job. It was awesome. Yeah, very incredible. It was
I'm still kind of on the fence, I'll be honest. Yeah, I don't know. Jury's still out. I don't know. We'll give it some time.
What do I need to do to convince you?
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see here in a couple months.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Fair, very fair.
So like for both of you guys, I know that you guys are major voice actors for like probably one of the more very iconic characters in the space of animation in general. Like you have Sonic, you have Zelda. I'm just kind of curious, like what has been your overall experience with a lot of your fans here at Collecticon?
Mostly horrible.
Yeah,
Predominantly horrible. You guys really need to step the game up. I'm just saying. I don't know what you guys. It's like you didn't bring your A game. I just feel like you're phoning it in.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah.
People come up to me in like cosplay and beautiful,
Yes.
like Link is right over there. He's waiting for me when I get off stage for a big Outdoors game. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, guys. I don't know. How do you guys feel like you're doing? I didn't do it. Yeah, see, there it is. Literally, come on. Now we're going to do the cliche thing when anybody on a stage asks an audience how they're doing, how they're feeling, if they're having a wonderful time, how they feel like they've been performing as con attendees. And the first response is never adequate, is it? They always then go, Come on, let me hear you. How do you really think you're doing?
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask it again. How do you think you're doing, Collecticon Orlando? Oh yeah. That's not what I want to hear. I really want to hear how you think you're doing. Come on, Collecticon Orlando. How do you think you're doing out there? I can't hear you. Right now, everybody at the tables is just like, good God, shut up.
Like another concert.
So you guys are phenomenal. Obviously, getting to do any of this stuff, everybody that you see along these, we are all just like unbelievably fortunate human beings who get to be reminded when we come to these things that it's like, oh, that's right, this job that we do where we tend to show up and focus on the work that they're asking us to execute on is like, that's where we hyper-focus. The director that's asking you to do this performance, or the producers, the writers, these are not our projects, it's their projects. And then we come here and we get to be reminded of the fact that that job that we have goes out and is plugged into a character that we don't animate, dialogue that we don't write, you know, everything, the music scores that we don't create, and the overall experience for fans and people who get to play these things, much like what I was saying with Portal. Portal just works for me, for all those things, and we get to be reminded of that, and you guys are awesome for standing in lines and coming here and putting on outfits, and it's 500 degrees outside, and you know, dealing with getting from the car into the con, all that stuff. So yeah, no, you guys are awesome. I'm
Thank you.
being silly. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I also come on, let me hear it one more time. How do you really feel? Yeah, there you go. No, come on, give yourselves a really big round of applause. Oh, yeah, there you go.
I also,
Sorry.
I mean, I know that you say that you're getting direction from directors, but also it's, you guys are really breathing life into a lot of these characters, and I think that's where the connection comes from between your fans and you guys. So like, I think that's like the coolest thing about what you guys do as voice actors, and being able to work with you guys, I think that's like the most important thing.
I fully agree. We are really incredible. Yes. When you think about it, it's just, yeah. No, it's a very fortunate job. It's a really, and arguably too, I think the reason why video game characters resonate far more often than animation is because it's interactive. It's, you spend far more time with a video game character, becoming the video game character very often, or interactive with those characters than just the passive form of watching a cartoon.
That's controversial.
Yes. I like to kill Razor's Edge, you know?
On a more personal note, so you know, talking about voicing so many characters, I'm curious, does that ever affect you, like, mentally on the, like, personal Roger brand or the Patricia brand of, like, you know, I'm all these characters, but you know, as far as, like, a celebrity you see on TV who's not an animated character, is that weird, or are you like, oh, this is nice, I'm not getting approached at a bar all the time or out in public? Or are you ever like, man, I wish more people just kind of like knew that I was a million different characters out there?
I think we have it pretty great, because it's really nice to have, I mean, I have a very normal life. I don't know about you, but...
I'm not normal.
I looked at your schedule, man, that is not normal.
Very well-ish, yeah. I think it's a good balance. I can speak for myself and a little bit for Roger, I guess, when I say that we have sort of normal schedules. You go to work, you come home, you get to do something very fun for work, and then the sort of fame aspect where you can't go anywhere because everybody recognizes you and you become a little separate from other people certainly doesn't so much apply to me. So I do like that. I think it's a very more grounded way of just being in the world. So no complaints here.
I can see the appeal of it for sure. Yeah, interesting.
I've heard a story, and I can't remember if it was Tom Kenny answered this, and I can't remember if Tom Kenny had sort of like plagiarized it from somebody else, but the story I've always heard is that Tom answered that question by saying, if the world of entertainment were superheroes, voice actors would have the power of invisibility. And so really, you come to something like this, and obviously, people who are here, you have a far greater likelihood of somebody kind of going, oh, you know, you're Princess Zelda. Whereas, like, you know, you go to the grocery store and it's so rare. And that's kind of an interesting thing, because it's really great to go to a job where you get to go in and become these characters and do these things, but then the minute it's done, I'm not in a costume, I'm not having to take 6 hours of makeup off my face or anything like that. You get to be as out there and visible as you want. And so the idea that voice acting gives you the ability to be a part of like a really fun creative industry, but that you can also treat it almost like a 9 to 6 job, And when you're done, you're done. You get to go away and feel like normal. So it's like dipping your toe in the waters of this industry, but not having to necessarily swim in them. And for me, it's preferable. I enjoy that. It's a great balance to things, because I can imagine. I feel for folks who everywhere they go, and I've been one of those guys where it's like, oh, do you know who that? Okay, I gotta go over and tell them that I love it. You know, it's like that happens all the time. You know, it's like seeing Aaron Paul in like a grocery store in McCall, Idaho, and just be like, dude, I love you, bro. You want to hear my Jesse? You know, it's like, I can do it. You know? And that kind of thing. And I think about it and I go, yeah, that does, it probably, and also, I don't know, there's a part of me too that just thinks, what a wonderful thing to have happen in your life. I mean, if you're going to go do this, you got to understand that's going to come with it. But it is kind of nice, the balance that you can have to just kind of like step out of it.
Yeah, I was going to add to that and say just the anonymity of being able to transform. Whenever you're creating something new, you come from a neutral place, and you can't have your ego involved in that too much. And it is nice to come from a place where like there are no expectations in a room when you're sort of going into something. If people don't previously know what you're doing, if you can convince yourself of that too, it's a better place to create from, just in general. So.
That said too, I am sick and tired of getting confused for Brad Pitt, so I know what the guy goes through. I know what the guy goes through. I feel bad for Brad Pitt.
When I first
Makes
met
a
you,
lot of sense now.
Right? You see it right now, right?
Now
Or
I'm
George
starting to
Clooney,
see
I get
it.
both. Yeah, the same thing. Or The Rock, I get The Rock a lot. If I got my shirt off at the beach, it's just The Rock all day long. That's all I get. Yeah, so I can imagine what those guys are going through in real life.
I could never imagine.
No?
Now, I do have to ask.
This tan.
Put that away, my house.
Yeah. Can you smell what The Rock is? Never mind. Yeah. Smells like he's cooking a bar of soap. Oh, sorry. That's lovely imagery.
I do have to ask, you were just doing a voice right there. Do you guys find yourselves doing voices at home in your personal lives? Like, I have to ask.
yeah, sometimes, yeah,
I mean, I was about to say, be honest.
yeah, that's all. Yes, I'm not gonna do them now, but every once in a while. It's
She does a killer rock. She does The Rock all the time. They just random phone calls like, you know, can you somehow? Okay, Patricia. Of course, no. I mean, honestly, like we play all the time, just outside of anything. That's what we do. That's how we kind of, I think, fall into this. Is I can remember being like a little kid and just mimicry was everything to me. Like, you know, it starts with that. Like, ooh, how did that person do that? Or how do you make that sound? Or you find out that your friends laugh when like you do a certain kind of manipulation of your voice. And so, yeah, there's times at home that I think I find myself kind of like hearing texture in a voice or a breathiness and we all play. I don't know a single person that's in voiceover that doesn't. I mean, one of my good buddies is Fred Tatasciore. He's the voice of Hulk and like Avengers Assemble and every other video game and all that stuff. And he and I just play around constantly. We literally will like send text messages to each other where we're sort of just playing around with voices and sounds and things. And in between, I mean, the worst job in this business would be the director of a voiceover session where you have like an ensemble cast of just absolute goofballs. Because it's like herding cats. I mean, trying to get us to settle down to actually get the work done is very often the challenge. Because we're all goofballs. We're all doing that, like, you know, trying to entertain each other. Or who's got a good Christopher Walken? You know, it's like who's got a great, you know, like impersonating one another and all that stuff. That's yeah, we're always doing it.
also just technically a lot of the work that we do is auditioning from our houses, so you can't even help but to try to do creative voices in your house.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, you know, I appreciate you guys for coming up on stage. I wish we could have you longer. It's like this would be so cool as like a podcast kind of setup, because we could talk about this for hours. Especially like
As could we.
We could do it.
I'd rather talk about rubber bands and plastic grocery bags for hours.
Yes.
But I don't know that would be a very good podcast.
Yes.
No? This guy right up front thinks it would be a brilliant podcast. Patty. How much do we love Patty, Orlando? Come on, I can't hear you.
So,
How much do we love Patty, Orlando?
I have one question. So, who would win a fight between Sonic and?
Oh, no, exactly. All the time. Patty knows.
Yeah, we know. I love it.
That's a good question. You know, you're right. I actually do agree that collecting plastic trash bags is a form of collecting. Next question?
I was thinking, What would happen if Batman was in Yakuza? I don't know if you're aware of the game Yakuza.
Oh yeah.
What would happen if he was in Yakuza? Would you be down for him being in a crossover like that?
Of course not. It's like it's organized crime, and he's like, no, it just wouldn't work. It'd be a cool crossover though.
And my second question is, in your eyes, Veronica, what would...
Veronica.
Sorry.
Let me go get Veronica.
Oh, it's on the screen and everything.
Dang, dude.
Wow.
What would it sound like in your ears?
Ooh.
What would he sound like? Sorry.
What would Link sound like
Oh,
in your
Link sound-
ears?
Like sweet, sweet honey dripping off of a lily. Just kidding.
Safe answer.
I did not say that.
I mean, who?
The Rock.
The Rock?
The
He would
irony.
sound like The Rock.
Dwayne Johnson, is that you?
I see it now. Hey guys, I do want to say we are running short on time, so we have time for one more question.
Oh, and
that's,
how fitting that it would be.
and that's it. Just one question.
Clearly, this is
But
going to
we
be a
do
question for
have
me.
Dan Green and Eric Stewart coming up next, so keep those seats warm. And yes, sir. Let's go ahead.
I'm honored to be the last question, but I actually got a question for you, Sonic.
Oh,
But
despite this cosplay.
I guess it's not. I
Perfect
guess
blend.
I'm asking for Chris Redfield, actually. All of the pictures on the screen are from Resident Evil 5. Did you play it in Resident Evil 8?
No, I was an RE5 and RE6.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't good enough for RE8. Well, thanks for bringing that up. That's great, man. That's great.
Are you
Do
excited?
you collect rubber bands? Do you collect rubber bands?
I do not.
Why not?
You want some of mine?
What was the actual question? We'll just crank it out. You're gonna answer this, by the way. Whatever it is, yeah.
Yes,
It's for you.
Do you guys play the games that, you voice act for? I'm sure.
A little bit. Definitely played some Assassin's Creed, some Breath of the Wild. Did not beat the game, not even close, but I feel like I have some license to be like, hey, you do it, not me. I'm in the castle waiting for you. So, yeah,
That is pretty
that's
cool.
fair.
We do, for sure, because we rarely get to see what we're doing or know what the finished product is going to become. So that's the thing. We go in, it's total theater of the mind. It's like it's a script, very little context, very often. You rely very heavily on your director, and sometimes you don't even know the look of the character that you're voicing. So to see what everybody's collaborative, sort of collective creative vision and how it's executed at the very end with music and sound effects and all these, because we go in and do really weird things like make guttural sounds and vomit sounds and punching sounds and boulder punching sounds and all these things that just don't make any sense. And yet to see it in the end, to see how it works, you kind of go, oh, that's why I spent 3 hours in a booth going, all that stuff.
By the way, that's what Link would sound like if it were in my ear.
Yeah, he already does something.
That would be amazing. He just shows up.
Hello, Link. It's not far off.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you guys for waiting as always.
If you guys need to get stuff signed, please go see Patricia and Roger over there. They are still doing signings today, but get there ASAP.
All right, everyone, please stand.
Thank you so much.
And everyone give a round of applause for our esteemed guests over here.
Quiet round of applause.
Because then we're gonna come on, let me hear you. Come on,